The circular economy is the unity of the consumption and production. The circular economy means that the end of the consumption is the raw material of the production, and the circular economy is a mindset, not just the physical process. As a mindset, it means that we have to economize about the resources, we have to value the resources, and to value a resources means that we have to pay the price which needs for the achievement of our goals, of our targets. This is the sustainability. So the sustainability is I can say that it's the income distribution among the several resources, and this is the new theory of the value. Why now the circular economy as a new slogan launched in the economics? The first reason of it is the theory of the cyclus. You know that every time in the history, and of course in the history of the economic thought, there are several stages, several surges, some theories, some economic policy emerge, other declines, and this kind of process happened in all over the world. In the neoliberal way of thinking, ends. The now conservative way of thinking are ends. This is that was the last era, and the new era was emerged, and we can call it the circular economics, or more precisely, the knowledge-based economics. And the knowledge-based economics means that we have to apply our targets, the sustainability as a targets for our process, for our production and consumption process. That's the reason why the new model, the new growth was started in the last couple of years, and it means that we have to merge, have to forge the moral stability and the economize and the economic way of thinking. Of course, it can be works with the globalization, or more precisely, the circular economy never works without globalization. The reason of it are threefold. The first one, we have to enter in the new era of the global, of the world, of the earth, and we can call it the Anthropocene. The Anthropocenes mean that we have to economize the all resources which can be found in the earth, and we have to govern the using of these resources. There are two measures, there are two streams, this kind of economizing, this kind of model. The first one is the subjective side. It means that we need a global knowledge, and we cannot work without global knowledge, and we have to think commonly, we have to think all together in order to keep the earth, to keep and to preserve our circumstances on the earth, and we need such a unity, such a university of the knowledge. This is the other point of the knowledge-based economies. It means that we need culture, we need every culture which can contribute to maintain this kind of sustainability, and that was the subjective side of the circular economy. The other side is the objective of the sustainability, and this is the infrastructure. So the circular economy does not mean that we can split from the other part of the world. We have to work together and we connect each other, and the connection among the several parts of the world, the several parts of the earth, definitely is the infrastructure. So the circular economy means that we have to rely, or every economy has to rely on the infrastructure, including the railway system, including the physical infrastructure, and of course including the infrastructure of the mindset, the infrastructure of the thought. For example, the ICT or other infrastructure, other technologies which provide us the knowledge, the several knowledge, the knowledge which was founded in all over the world. So this is the second part. The infrastructure is the second side of the connection between the globalization and the circular economy. And the third point is that we have to build, every economy has to build a new ecosystem. The ecosystem, the circular economy means that every economy, every region, every smaller country should find out that what is the appropriate ecosystem which fit into the whole global model. It means that we have to think globally and have to act globally as well. You know that in the last couple of years there was a slogan, a common phrase, that you have to think globally and you have to act locally. It does not work recently. It means that we have to work globally at every minute, at every point, and the circular economy is not a provincialism. The circular economy doesn't mean that we have to enter into the protectionism. So we have to fit in the whole division of the labor in all over the world, and this way of thinking should be applied to the economist as well. What does it need for the economists? First of all, we have to, the economists have to roll over of the neoliberalism. The neoliberalism, the economic way of thinking, which was characterized in the last couple of decades, or more, so from the mid of the 70s, the neoliberal way of thinking was the dominant economic theory. Recently, the economists should make a critique against the neoliberalism. What does it mean? First of all, the economy started to rely on the industrial policy. The neoliberalism talk about the selfishness of the economic agent, and the main economic policy target of the neoliberalism was to split the state and the market. The circular economy means that the state and the market intertwined. They work together in a common goal. This kind of goal is the sustainability, and the industrial policy is the essence of this kind of way of thinking. The second point is that the economists should use, or economists have to use the knowledge of the engineers knowledge, because the technology is an economic term and not just a technical term. So the technology provides values, provides a mindset, a way of thinking, and the manufacturing, the industrial policy use this kind of tools, this kind of aspect of the technology. It means, of course, that the economists should provide a narrative for the technology. So the technology is a future aspect. So the technology gives a future models, and we can call it the narrative economics. So the narrative, to give a narrative for every economic agent, it's part of the economics. Why is it so important? Because in the last couple of decades, the new generations who entered into the workplace, mostly in our region, think about the technology as a pessimism, think about the technology as an exploitation of the manpower, of the nature, and so on. Despite of this, we have to use, I mean, the economists has to emphasize that the technology is a good thing, help us in order to achieve our goals. It's a redemption process to using the technology. And that is the second point what are needed. And the third point is that the business model should rely on the mass production. The technology to use a business model which spread in the whole society. I mean that provide the new technology for everybody. It's not so usual thing as we can see it, because mostly in our region we think about the technology, the newest technology, as a special guest for just the top 1% or top 10%, the so-called elite, which was a quite fashionable word in our region. Despite of this, on the contrary, we have to provide the new technology for everybody and our target is that every entrepreneur should or has to think about it, how can they do it. For the engineers, what are needed is to understand the economists, and they understand every other represents of several knowledges. The engineers engineers needs anthropologists, needs humanities, needs economists as well, because the technology is not just a technical solution for a given problem, but the engineering process is to support the people, to support the engineers to enter into the workflow, into the market, and to develop in order to achieve these models.